Hi, this is Kayaker Magic. I've come out with a new version of my archery bow and arrow, and the Navi ceremonial bow as well. I've added all the advanced features I've worked out for weapons recently. These bows have so many features I thought I would make this instructional video to show you how to use some of them. The bow comes with two other prims, a meter and an effects prim. The meter is a HUD that allows you to take damage if someone else shoots you. Double-click on it in inventory and it will appear in the upper left corner of your screen. The meter is copy trans, so you can give it to your friends and they can take damage also. Second, the bow comes with an effects prim. Res a few of these on the ground. They look like arrows. I'll tell you more about these later. Finally, there is the bow itself. Double-click on it in inventory to wear it on your left hand. The first time you wear the bow, you will need to adjust its position. Click on the bow, the dialog appears. Click on Pose Aim. You will be posed as if ready to fire. While posing like this, edit the bow with the build tools. Adjust the bow position until it passes through your left hand at the correct angle and the arrow is near your right hand. It is unlikely to exactly meet your right hand, just get it pointed in the correct direction. You can pose aim again and again to dry fire the bow, or use this to photograph yourself posed with the bow. To get out of pose aim mode, press Done in the menu. The easiest way to get into mouse look mode is to zoom into the avatar with your mouse wheel. But this doesn't always work. Try tapping on the right arrow key, then zoom again. To fire an arrow in mouse look mode, you have to hit the left mouse button twice. Once to notch an arrow and pull the bow. A second time to fire. Every 2 mouse clicks fires another arrow. Did you notice the arrow doesn't go where the bow seems to point? It goes where your cursor is pointed instead. The bow appears at random across the screen, sometimes in the middle where it gets in the way of aiming. If that happens, you can rotate far to the side and come back to get the bow out of your way. So far we've been in the default mode, what I call beginner mode. When you fire the bow, an arrow appears instantly where your cursor is. Actually, it may be a little high or low, depending on how tall your avatar is. Try shooting at a target and seeing what your sight picture is. For my avatar, it shoots a little high. To make archery more realistic, I'm going to switch to FX Move mode in the dialog. In this mode, the arrows fly from the bow towards the target and fall with gravity by default. I call this Skilled Archer mode. You have to learn to estimate distance and aim high so your arrow falls to hit your target. The bow uses the effects prims by default. In this mode, the bow never reses arrows. You saw me res several of the effects prims earlier. You res these once, they run around and do the work of all the arrows so the bows don't have to res. This means you can set up your land in no res mode and people can still come and fire bows on your property. You can disable arrow gravity in this mode. Now the arrow does not fall, but it still takes time to get to the target. If the target is moving, like a running animal, the arrow can still miss. You still need skill to anticipate where the arrow will be and lead the target by the right amount. The bow has several modes it can use when resing is allowed. Test res is one mode where the bow tests to see if resing is allowed to anyone. If it is, the bow reses arrows. If it is not, then the effects prims are used again. The bow reses non-physical arrows, which behave a little bit like physical arrows, except better. It can res physical arrows, but I don't recommend this unless you have a target that only responds to physics. If you wound a dinosaur with a bow, it starts running in the direction it was facing. If it runs perpendicular to you, getting in the fatal shot can be difficult. So I recommend waiting until the dinosaur is facing you before taking the first shot. Then it will run towards you, making the next few shots easier as it gets closer. Shooting a T-Rex is particularly challenging since it takes at least 8 hits with arrows to put it down.